Welcome to Digital Pioneers, an initiative of ETStudios in association with Tata Communications. Today, we're diving into a critical subject that's shaping the insurance sector, that's cybersecurity. As there's increased digitization and sophisticated attack vectors dominating the landscape, now insurance companies need to stay ahead of the game. And together with my esteemed panel, we're going to explore how these challenges are being managed, the solutions to these challenges, and the best practices that can be adopted by the insurance companies. So join me in welcoming our panelists for the day. We have Pawan Chawla, who's an industry evangelist, currently associated with Tata AIA Life Insurance. And we also have with us Soubhanick Routh, who's the Associate VP, Business Solutions at Tata Communications. Thank you so much for your valuable time today.
Thank you, Shilpa.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. It's our absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to hear the sort of insights that you are going to give us today through the course of this conversations. Sure. Let me start off with you, Pawan. Cybersecurity in the BFSI space is seen very often as a high-stakes chess game. You have to constantly keep an eye on what your adversaries might do next. So how do insurance companies stay ahead of these constantly evolving threats, which are becoming more and more sophisticated in nature now?
So the way we look at it, the threats have evolved over a period of time, and we have seen how the transition had happened overall in the technology landscape itself. And with the change of technology, the threats have evolved over a period of time. There used to be, we used to work and identify a blue screen, we used to call it a bug at that point in time. Now it has converted into, because people started exploiting it, it became a vulnerability. And vulnerabilities are increasing day by day. The more you adopt technology, the more vulnerable you are. And moreover, the industry of the threat actors have evolved over a period of time as well. Now, earlier there used to be specific threat actors who used to target a specific vulnerability and then exploit and try to steal the data. Now that industry has become much more channelized than any other industry in the world. And if you today look at it, you can hire a hacker at a cost of less than $10 an hour. And ransomware attack can be brought in the dark web at a cost of $30, and you can hire a ransomware planter at a $12 per hour. So that's how the industry is evolving. And trust me, if you look at the dark web, they are much more channelized, much more advanced. They have much more ethics than any other organization. The way they work and the way they streamline the implementation of a particular attack on an organization. They choose their target very specifically and very categorically to ensure that they know that the value which will come out from that particular organization, and that's how the industry is working. The threats which have evolved over a period of time and the BFSI industry need to be focused upon is the advanced the threats which are there, because now with the adoption of AI, the threats have evolved, and it is much more inverse, which you may not come to know because people have not started investing in AI as of now. That's one thing. The second thing is the supply chain attacks which are there. An organization is as vulnerable as their third parties. So if they are exposed to any kind of a threat, you are vulnerable as well. So you need to have mechanism in place of detection, one. Second, you need to have mechanism of protecting that identification, and then comes the protection. Third piece is the data that you share with the organization. It could be within the organization, outside the organization. That has to be monitored and protected before it gets exploited. The way I was talking about how the threat industry has evolved now, if you look at it, the ransomware planters have become much more streamlined, and they know what could impact the organization. It is not only the encryption of a particular machine can impact. It is the data is one of the key important aspects which organizations are keeping a tap on, and it needs to be protected, because the way attackers have evolved, as I explained earlier, the ransomware, you can hire a attacker and then they can plant a ransomware in an organization as well. So they have evolved over a period of time. Instead of just becoming a ransomware attacker, now they have become extortionists. So they are not only encrypting the data, but they are stealing the data from the organization as well. So even if you pay ransom, you get your machine encrypted, the data is still with them, and they can anytime release on the darknet, and they will again try to blackmail you to get some money out of the organization, not only for unencrypting the data, but also the data which they would not be publishing on the internet. So these are the challenges which are there and which are prevailing, and which the industries will see in the future as well. The most important piece, the last piece I would like to also emphasize upon, the way the regulators are becoming stringent, because the attacks are increasing, the regulators are becoming stringent. The organization need to cope up with that pace as well. Otherwise, it will have a severe impact on the organization and the revenues of the organization as well.
You know, you summed up everything that we want to discuss over the course of this conversation. But that's very true about the data encryption, and especially the need to protect PII data is becoming even more paramount these days, especially with the sort of hijacking and ransom that these increased bad actors are doing. And of course, there are only few people on the good side, such as the two of you that we have today on this panel. Coming across to you, Soubhanick, you partner with so many, of these industry giants. So what are the sort of trends that you are seeing emerging in the cybersecurity area currently?
Okay. So I think cybersecurity is now top of the charter across the organizations, across the verticals. But if I come back specifically to BFSI, I think the first concern and then the major concern is the rise in the sophisticated threat attacks. Eventually, the number of the threat vectors are also getting increased, as Pawan was also mentioning. And obviously, the introduction of a lot of the new advanced threats like ransomware, the supply chain, the compromise, the multi-vector attacks. So those are impacting very much towards the BFSI industry and insurance industries, to be specific. If we think about, because their data volume is very high, because their customer data volume is very high, in fact, that creates the attack surface more widened, right? And that is basically pushing them more towards investing in more of a proactive the threat analytics, the advanced analytics, and more of the robust detection and mitigation, the process in place. Second one, if I think about, it is the adoption of the zero trust, the framework, right? The reason behind is now this is a distributed workforce, a lot of adoption of the multi-cloud. Eventually, this is more of a disintegrated architecture for them. So no more the standard, the security or the authentication is accepted. You require obviously the zero trust to come in. And obviously, we are also helping a lot of organizations to implement that framework by enabling the network microsegmentation, the multi-layer authentication, and obviously the role-based access control, so that you ensure that only the legitimate users are accessing the estate and they are reaching out to the application set. Third, if I think about, I think it's a more like the resilience on the security is obviously the continuity of the second point what I mentioned, because of this, the distributed workforce and the hybrid cloud infrastructure. There is the two major thing comes into the mind of the CISOs or the people who are managing the show, is that how they are protecting the endpoints and also how they are enabling the secure access to the applications. And two are main things which are top of the mind. What we observed that there is the increase in adoption of the SASE. Now the SASE is basically the combination of the network and the securities, the components coming together, and obviously the ZTNA part or the zero trust framework what we are talking about, the integration of the zero trust framework along with the SASE is basically helping them in identifying the legitimate user and the secure access application that way. The fourth one I can think about is there is an inavailability of kind of the threat vectors coming in. You cannot now avoid it. It is better to become more, rather than the proactive, you become a more resilient, because if the attack happens also, you need to be more resilient to restore it back. So that's why the industry is more putting the thoughts and investment is towards the building up the strong the detection and mitigation process, and obviously the disaster recovery, because something goes wrong, you should have immediate backup to come in. So where we are also helping them in not only creating the backup and the disaster recovery solution, also we are integrating whatever platform solutions we are giving, by default coming up with the backup solutions comes together, so that they do not lose data at any point of time. Fifth one, I think that is also very important. Probably I'm going a bit long, but the more of the reliance on the cloud security part, right? Because this is now absolutely on high to grow, and the problem comes in once you go for a multi-cloud adoption. There are few basic issues comes in. One is the misconfiguration, data breaches and all. And that's why the industries are more looking into solutions like the data load protection or the secure configuration management, the visibility tools. So those are the areas they are putting the investment there. So what we have done it here, we have brought in a single pane of glass with a configuration tool as well across all the hyperscalers and private cloud, because most of the customers are now preferring not only on public cloud, it is a hybrid cloud, it is a mix of private and public. And if you can bring in one single pane of glass for your visibility, monitoring and management, it gives a better outlook for them. At the final point, to sum up this answer, I think is going long, but I think this industry is very much guided by the compliance by the regulatory bodies. So they are also looking for any solution comes in. Their major focus is the data localization, the data protection, and finally the audit readiness, because anytime the authority can come and ask for it. So whatever we are trying to do in the solution, so we are ensuring the solutions comes in with all these 3 points covering up, and we are providing all those encryptions, data localization, and keeping most of the data within India itself, so that they have become more compliant. So I think these are the trends probably we are observing in BFSI, and to be specific, the insurance industry as well, and we are helping them also in mitigating.
All right, that's a very detailed summary right at the outset of this discussion. Now we'll explore that in more detail through the course of this. Coming back to you, Pawan, the increased digitization that you were talking about, right? As soon as something goes digital, it's online, it becomes vulnerable. So the threat areas increase, the attack areas increased. How do these organizations, BFSI organizations, manage the security of these digital platforms, which have become so many in number, and also you have to ensure that there is seamless transactions, which is what the users now come to expect post-pandemic?
See, most important thing is the more you digitize, sir talked about multi-cloud strategy and adoption of multi-cloud strategy, zero trust and all. So though there are these are technologies which are helping in the digitization, but they need to be secured as well. And the most important aspect is to have a continuous security program rather than making it as a one-time security program. So generally still today, if you look at it, the industry, it is not matured enough, and we still see that people make it as a one-time activity and try to just fulfill or put a tick mark as part of compliance. That mindset has to be changed. So if a regular continuous program enhanced and cover all the aspects which are required from the security perspective, be it the vulnerability assessment, be it the code review, be it the secure configuration, be it the zero trust, be it it's the API testing, third party testing, third party security review, even to an extent going to the third party and auditing them, all play a comprehensive role in your journey of digitization. It is not only their organization journey, but it's your journey. Like I mentioned in earlier as well, you are as secure as your partners. You need to ensure that you take every possible step to keep yourself secured. All these plays a very important role. Moreover, apart from the security, it is very important that people understand certain nuances and certain terminologies as well. As Sir kept on emphasizing on one word, which is zero trust framework. We have seen, particularly I have seen in the industry, people still believe that it is a technology which needs to be adopted, whereas it is not a technology. You need to have a zero trust framework implemented. You need to first understand before you implement it. It may bring in user dissatisfaction because it is not trusting everybody or everything which you have in your environment. It is testing at every step, authenticating and validating that you are the right person who is accessing or requesting for an information. And it needs to be done at every stage. Zero trust can be embedded in every technology which you adopt, whether it is a perimeter, whether it is the endpoint, whether it is servers, whether it is a compliance. You can do it at every stage. So those things needs to be understood very in detail before it has been adopted in your digitization journey. It's not a one-time exercise. Like I said, it's a journey which you have to walk through.
And what does the industry feel about zero trust architecture? Because as you mentioned, it can give rise to some sort of delays. There can be some dissatisfaction when first familiarizing yourself with it. Not everybody gets access. So how is the industry looking at this? There's so many legacy systems involved as well, large organizations. At what stages are organizations in the BFSI industry when it comes to ZTA?
See, it's in bits and pieces to answer that. In bits and pieces, the organization have adopted it. But holistically, if you look at it, I have not come across any organization who has done it end to end, which is at every step they have implemented ZTNA. Is it easy? No. In the BFSI, it is not that easy as well. And probably that is the reason you see the adoption is increasing, but at a slow pace. Because there are legacy systems, as you talked about, and banks, especially banks and insurance companies, have been running for almost 23, 25 years. They have legacy system in place, and zero trust may not be compatible with them. So first you need to make them compatible to get onboarded, or you need to put additional layer on top of it so that they become compatible, or probably create a new project plan itself of migrating from the legacy system to the new system before you adopt that. The second piece comes, which is the most important piece, and that's the major roadblock, is the user satisfaction. So when I say user satisfaction, when you keep prompting of entering password at every stage to your employees or to the user of a particular application, they will get irritated. And that's where the dissatisfaction come into the picture. But if you look at from the security perspective, yes, is it important? Yes, it is important. You need to find a mechanism where you can create a seamless journey of authentication and have it implemented, not repeating it again and again for a particular period of time, probably through tokenization or defining a period of authentication for a certain period and then re-authenticating it to the next step when the user moves. And another important aspect is defining a period of that session as well. You can't leave the session open, otherwise you are opening a gate for an attacker to and leave it opening for them to steal the information. And these are the gates you need to implement in your journey. And that is the reason I said that, and I keep on emphasizing that it is very important to understand the framework before you adopt and implement it, rather just thinking that it is a technology you can buy and simply adopt in your environment. And it is not one size fit for all as well. ZTNA needs to be evaluated before it is adopted. May not be good for your organization, may not be compatible with the ecosystem you have. You need to think through it before you move to that, take a step forward in that journey.
Yes, it's that everyone thinks this buzzword is just an app you can attach as an API, but absolutely they need to understand, you need to weave it into your framework. And even if you can weave it into the framework, that's very well explained, of course. Thank you for that, Pawan. Soubhanick, coming to you work across subsectors in the BFSI industry, and you tailor solutions for them. Can you give us a sense of these tailored solutions and the sort of challenges that you have helped them solve in these sectors?
Yeah, so I think first thing what we do, anything we plan, it's a tailor-made mostly, other than a regular BAU solution. because now with the advancement of the security threats, your solution also need to be more customized, and Pawan rightly mentioned, it has to be properly curated for the organization itself, understanding the enterprise architecture, what the assets they have, how the user behavior pattern happens, right? There are a lot of, and specifically this industry has a lot of the legacy infrastructure which they are carrying. But when you go and look for the new security solutions to come in, first thing we try to do, we try to make it more robust and resilient, right? So that you minimize the downtime, because this industry cannot afford a downtime, right? So that's the first thing as a design principle we bring in. The second one is what we bring in is that the thought process of the advancement of the predictive cyber threat, the intelligence, because that can only save you before actually the attack happens. So if the attack happens and you are under the cloud, then there's already delayed and it's an impact to the organization. So we are continuously bolstering the threat intelligence mechanism, the platform. We have our own in-house the threat intelligence platform. We have the threat intelligence from various different OEMs, different governing bodies and all, to make it very comprehensive for an organizations that we can help them in protecting the infrastructure. The third one is obviously looking into more the compliance part of it. As Pawan was mentioning, the authentication. So how much you bring the authentication into the picture for any of these solutions and make it a more apt into it. Fourth one is I'll talk about mainly the customized solution. So very rightly Pawan mentioned that one solution does not fit to everyone. So a large or a medium or a small organization probably only require an MDR solution to go up. But for a large organization with critical stakeholders coming in, we require a full-fledged SOC to come in and lot of the peripheral services to come. So again, it is completely tailor-made. And the final one is as an MSSP, what we bring in is that the end-to-end ownership. So when I talk about an end-to-end ownership, it is basically the consulting, which is basically the infrastructure assessment, then design accordingly, deploy, and the life cycle management. So that's how the entire ownership lies with a person, and there is no ball falling into the crack. So those are various aspects we generally adopt in terms of specifically BFSI industry customers. We are trying to help them in the cybersecurity.
Very interesting. Let me take that thread of compliance and regulation and take it across to you, Pawan. These constantly evolving regulatory and compliance requirements for you, how do you ensure that you keep an eye on that and have continued business growth while managing the sort of security risks that can come in when you are implementing something new for adherence or for compliance, right? When all these constant new sort of applications are happening, how do you ensure that you are continuously secure through an agile environment?
So you need to be agile as well. That's the answer. Because the way you look at it, I mean, in the last 3-4 years, ever since IRDA first regulation came in 2017, information and cybersecurity guideline which came in, and if you look at RBI, SEBI, they have also come up with their own framework as well, and it keeps on evolving over a period of time. What we need to look at it is at the crux, that what are they focusing upon and what we need to ensure that we should have a minimum baselining controls to keep the organization secured. So whether it is vulnerability management is being focused upon, whether it is regular compliance or audits needs to be focused upon, whether it is the authentication needs to be focused upon. So today, if you look at it, all the regulation, you pick up any regulation, it all talks about that. So they have specifically curated in such a way that the regulation can be adopted by a medium size, small size or a large size organization. Obviously, it depends on the appetite of an organization to ensure that the technology which they adopt may vary from scale to scale. Somebody can go with a startup, somebody can go with a large OEM and then adopt it. But the solutions are available in the market which can be adopted. And that's how the journey of building resilience within the organizations goes. And you need to adopt it as you move forward and keep on evolving as the regulation keeps on changing. The journey is not ending there. Today, it has become so advanced that the regulator also understand the importance of it, and they keep on tapping and checking the compliances of the organizations as well. So they keep doing the audit. They ensure that whatever audit we get done, we submit the report to them as well. We keep on updating of with new updates. We keep on updating with new industry changes which is happening. There are forums, there are quorums which are created, and people are been invited in those forums to give their feedback so that they can also evolve their framework along with the industry and have those controls implemented in the organization. So it's a partnership. It's a partnership which has come up into the picture. It's not the one-way communication now. Earlier it used to be that way, but now they also understand that yes, no, the collaboration is important, and they need to listen to the industries and the practical challenges as well, and create a framework in such a way that it is being adopted by every organization.
That's very interesting to note this significant industry shift moving from compliance to proactive to resilient to now it becoming a partnership with the regulators almost, right? Because they take note of the challenges that you have, so it becomes conducive to have these guidelines in place. You know, with these with this sort of constant evolution, we also have hybrid environments now, and we have a multi-cloud environment. Soubhanick, how do you ensure end-to-end visibility while making it secure for your partners?
Okay. This is the absolute reality today, and it's an adoption of multi-cloud. So with this multi-cloud adoption is very high in this industry as well. But with this adoption, there are few major issues they're facing, as I was mentioning. The misconfiguration part of it, the data breaches part of it, and all, right? And obviously they're putting a lot of efforts in managing those things like the data load protection and this configuration management, so on and so forth. But I think the major issue comes in managing multi-cloud from a single console. That sometime is not available, and that's why it is independently they are managing the clouds. And sometimes there are less of visibility that what is going on in a specific cloud, or whether the estate is working fine, or is there any attack happened or not, so and so forth. So we as an organization has come up with the single pane of glass as a visibility, which is not only giving a visibility across clouds of only public, private, and any hybrid clouds also. So that's become a game changer. So today, that single pane of glass gives a complete visibility about across the clouds, and we are ensuring the reachability of the clouds are also private in nature. See, you can minimize the attack surface if you have maximum amount of the private connectivity, right? Because public connectivity always is a source for any of the attacks. So that's how we are trying to create a private connectivity across different clouds with a single pane of glass. The second one is the SASE implementation. Now, how SASE is helping is like someone is working from home or someone is working from office. Both have the homogeneous security, the rules to follow. And if someone is actually trying to log in from outside also and reaching to a common node, you will have a similar treatment as someone is sitting in the office LAN, right? So that's how the SASE part is helping them. And obviously with an SD-WAN, you have the complete visibility of the traffic moving from point A to point B. For a user sitting in an office and accessing any of the application in across the board, you have the complete visibility through an SD-WAN layer comes in. And third point is we are doing it, and we are also asking the organizations also to put more of the user behavior analytics, because a lot of threats are originating from inside as well today, right? And that you can identify and mitigate if you have a strong UBA in place. So we are also ensuring and telling customers to have a strong user behavior, the analytics in place, which eventually help you to identify and mitigate your internal threats, right? That is also a strong source of the anomalies today. And that's how we are trying to help the organizations in case they are adopting the multi-cloud as a policy.
Yeah, pattern detection and user behavior as authentication itself is definitely a big industry
Exactly.
trend currently. Pawan, BFSI organizations have such huge expenditures when it comes to security. Now, what do you think are the top 3 priorities when it comes to cybersecurity solutions when you're looking at the next few years?
It's a difficult question to answer because the cybersecurity industry is anyways evolving, and you need to keep on investing in the right solution which is right fit for the organization to be adopted to stay ahead and protected of the prevailing threat. So like we were talking about that one size cannot fit one organization, so cannot fit for all. So you need to keep on looking at the threats which are important for you. Identify a solution, which may impact your organization, and then adopting that and moving your journey towards implementing that solution is important. So if we talk about the trends, I mean, I can talk about from that perspective that, okay, for top 3 trends, if you look at it, the adoption of AI, generative AI, and the threats prevailing to that, because now it has become more and more automated and more adaptive. At times, you may not even realize that there are certain things which are prevailing in the organization. And we have always heard a term from various speakers that there are only 2 kind of organization: one who knows who are breached, and one who doesn't know they are breached. So, but that doesn't mean that they are not spectacle to get breached. So at time they may face a challenge as well. So you need to keep on investing and identifying the areas where you need to invest. At AI is one piece I talked about. Second is the data. With the adoption of multi-cloud strategy, so data is everywhere. We don't know where the data. At times we may not have the visibility. Some of the previous threats, if we talk about, with large banks in the BFSI itself, we have seen scenarios where a server has been created for UAT or for a temporary purpose and have been left there. The data was lying there when that has been stolen as well. So that visibility is very important. Somebody need to keep a tab of that and make sure that whatever assets they have is secured. Hence, data security becomes a very important role. The last piece which I would always recommend, and as a practice, I always vouch upon and call again and again, is to create human firewall within the organization. Insider threat are the most prominent and the most vulnerable aspect in any organization, which needs to be focused upon. So people need to be trained on new threats which are prevailing in the market, and keep on advancing your training and your communication to those people to ensure that they know what to do or how to react in a particular situation. Like Soubhanick was talking about the identification. He was talking about the continuous the identification. Second is the monitoring of a particular attack. So that needs to be done, and people within the organization can help you out in overcoming that particular challenge, because they are the first one to get to notify or to being experiencing an attack if it is happening. Whatever you put in SIM, you put SOAR on it, they may help you in mitigating it, but there is an RPO, RTO, you need to look at it, and you may get to know about it while it has impacted you. At times it may help you in preventing that if you have a endpoint detection and response, which may probably help you in mitigating it. But user is the first person who initiate the attack as well. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the irony, because once you click on a malicious link, you know that you have been vulnerable. So you need to keep on enriching them with the new knowledge, and enriching them with the steps they need to take. So do's and don'ts need to be clearly communicated to them. So these are the 3 important things organization should be focusing upon, and the prevailing which can help an organization sailing.
Yes, so security first culture is definitely something that all organizations need, apart from the sort of technology integration that we have for cybersecurity. Soubhanick, coming to you, what do you think about the AI threats that he's talking about? And when it comes to solutions, do you have emerging tech embedded in that, such as AI and ML, and are they helping you with innovation in solutions?
Yeah, very much, and I think this is absolutely need of the hour. And not only security across the services what we provide, we are bringing as much as the AI and ML come to the action. If I come to specifically to security solutions, the SOC what we manage, or maybe the SOC we build for the customers, we ensure that it becomes an AI enabled SOC. So when we say AI enabled SOC, we are bringing a lot of the reporting, detection, and obviously the mitigation based on the AI, and that is helping actually eliminating lot of the expected threats, right? Because you do the lot of the zero-day attacks pattern matching, and then you take the measures accordingly, right? So those are the things, and then anomaly detection and all. Second one is more like use the AI in your the threat intelligence as well, like lot of, and it is helping to detect and mitigate lot of the phishing campaigns as well, by just looking into the global threats and matching with the local patterns, right? So those are the things generally AI helps in doing, because you know what is going on across the globe and what is happening across the boards within the country, and then you get a kind of the action items what to do, right? So that's how the AI is helping. Third one is not only the detection, in the mitigation also we are bringing AI, so that we can minimize the lot of the false positives as well through the AI, and minimizing the lot of Cat 1, Cat 2 tickets coming in. And finally, what we have done, we have launched an AI cloud recently, that is more to create the secure infrastructure, AI-enabled secured infrastructure for the application to reside, and create the overall, I will say, an AI-enabled environment for the organizations to go for. So these are few things we are doing it in terms of providing the cybersecurity space for the AI.
That's been very interesting to note indeed. Thank you for sharing that. And also, that brings us to an end of this discussion. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for your valuable time. I think we've amply covered all the aspects when it comes to cybersecurity across BFSI. It's been great to know about the industry trends that you are staying abreast of and staying on top of. And thank you once again for your time. And thank you, viewer, for tuning in to Digital Pioneers. Remember to stay tuned for more such insightful conversations.